Okay, good morning. It's 9 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. You have the agenda before you. Carlos, you know that you said that you needed to leave.
11 o'clock.
We're
When you do that,
Yeah.
You had something you wanted on the,
I just was gonna talk about the debt payment schedule and TIF collection under
Sure.
new business, please.
I'll make a motion, the agenda be approved as is with the new addition.
Second,
A motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended, adding the discussion on debt payment and TIF under new business. Go
May
ahead.
I offer a minute?
Yeah.
We haven't done the site visit,
Okay,
so we can put that on next Monday. That's my deadline to get it in is Monday.
okay, this would 9:30 review and act on construction permit for JT Dean in section 24 Norway Township.
Yes, that is a bullet site that was damaged in the storm and they're rebuilding, so they have to go through that process of the construction permit, so it's not new.
Okay.
We'll have more.
it's on there at 9:30. Is that gonna be tabled then, or is it?
Yeah, we
Yeah, I'd
would
like
table
to
it.
Table, okay.
remove that off or.
Table it.
Table it till the following week.
Yeah.
Any others? Okay, are you including that in your,
Yes,
motion? Okay, I have a motion and a second to, amend the, agenda, tabling item number 12, which is review and act on construction permit for JT Dean in section 24 of Norway Township. Table it till next week, and then, adding the discussion on the debt payment and TIF, under new business. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Betty, if you would read the minutes of the October 9th meeting.
Chairman Cluse called the regular meeting of the Wright County Board of Supervisors to order at 9 a.m. Members present were Cluse, Rasmussen, and Helgebold. Motion by Rasmussen, seconded by Helgebold to approve the tentative agenda. Motion carries. Minutes of the previous regular meeting of October 2nd, 2023 were read and approved. Approved claims for payment. An open forum, Julie and Paul Glade and Todd Hochhofer spoke on Summit Carbon Solutions Pipeline and encouraged the board to pass a zoning ordinance to protect the citizens of Wright County. Hochhofer mentioned that landowners and adjacent property owners affected by the pipeline should have a voice in where the pipeline goes. Motion by Rasmussen, seconded by Helgebold to approve the 5-day liquor license for Top of Iowa Lucky Wife LLC. Motion carries. Adam Clemens, Wright County Engineer, gave an update on secondary roads. There were 11 work orders completed last week. Blades continue normal blading to keep up with the harvest operations. Mowing of the granular routes have begun. And crews are doing a test on C70 with putting new gravel on the shoulder of the road and then putting calcium chloride on top to help stabilize. Brush cutting has begun, starting with hard surface routes and then moving to granular routes and completing a township, before continuing to the next township. Bridge number 141A on 200th Street between Hancock Avenue and Ida Avenue is now complete and back open. Motion by Rasmussen, seconded by Helgebold to go into closed session at 9:30 a.m. pursuant to Iowa Code Chapter 21.51J to discuss the purchase or sale of particular real estate only where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected. To increase the governmental body would have to pay for that property or reduce the price the governmental body would receive for the property. By roll call vote, ayes, Cluse, Rasmussen, and Helgebold, nays, none. Motion carries. Motion by Helgebold, second by Rasmussen to move out of closed session at 9:54 a.m. Motion carries. Motion by Helgebold, second by Rasmussen to proceed with Plan A as discussed in closed session. Motion carries. Motion by Helgebold, second by Rasmussen to adjourn. Motion carries.
Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, I'll send it as read. Approved claims for payment. Did that get around there?
Yeah.
Total of 4 signatures.
Yep, done.
Open forum for public input. Robert, did you have anything for us this morning?
Couldn't hear the last
You could not hear
last week.
the discussion?
Yeah, all right, good.
Okay,
Good.
check and see. I think we're supposed to be on the meeting owl, we are. Meeting, yeah, okay,
I have something.
go ahead.
Want to remind everybody to stay blue to the flu. Get your flu shots. Before Halloween, it's not do or die, you could have it after Halloween, but it's just a good reminder. Been helping the schools with Narcan training so they can have Narcan available at the schools. Belmont Clemmy had a very good compliment on Wright County Public Health and our efforts during COVID and vaccinations and going to them. So that was a really good compliment. We try not to have four walls in public health. We try to be out and about everywhere, so.
Flu shots are available at your location.
Yeah, we typically will always have a nurse there available.
Okay.
However, like I say, we don't have walls, so there's sometimes that we'll have to be together at a bigger clinic,
Yeah.
but they are available. We do not have the adult COVID vaccine yet,
Good.
really short supply. I think some of the pharmacies have gotten it, but just a few doses. We do have the 6 months through 4 years and the 4 years through 12 years.
Okay,
So maybe when you're gonna get the adult one?
And it's been ordered and they just don't indicate when. I do have some adult doses that are for the uninsured or underinsured, but I only got 10 of those. That's the bridge program, so that's pretty limited also, so.
anyone online like to speak? In the chat.
Will we be able to speak after Jeremy makes his presentation?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
kind of waiting to hear what he has to say about the setbacks. Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right. Item number 6, Jeremy Abbas, Chairman of the Temporary Districting Committee, to present the new 5 super district plan for review and county supervisors to act on.
Hey, speaking on behalf of temporary districting committee, here is option number 4 that we did have a public hearing on. Showing the public one of our options, the option that we had chose as a committee to put out to the public. You can see the map or the piece of paper I gave you has the ideal populations for Wright County. So 5 districts all would have to be within the variation of 26 of people of the 2589 plus or minus. We have decided that this is the option we'd like to recommend to the Board of Supervisors for you guys to act on. Options obviously are to deny and it comes back to us to redo, or to accept and then it goes on to the Secretary of State's office.
So we either, we accept it, goes to Secretary of State, and then they'll do the final blessing on it, and then. And these are the ones that were printed in the paper.
This is the option that was printed in the paper. So it's the county-wide plus the 3 communities that were split out.
And just so that the public knows, the idea is to have this within, no bigger variation than a 0.01%, between any district, right?
Yep,
So maximum of 26 people, variation in population between the districts.
District 1 was a +10, District 2 is a -20, 3 was a +25, 4 is a -20, and 5 was a 7, for a total overall variation of 2 people.
Excellent, good.
I think that's why we felt pretty confident in our map and the clean line.
Clean lines, yeah, that's even.
I would make a motion to approve the temporary redistricting committee's work for the 5 supervisor district plan as presented.
I would second that.
And thank you for the work. I know it's been kind of a,
definitely. Thank you for doing that. I have a motion and a second to approve the temporary redistricting committee's work on the 5 supervisor district plan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thanks again, Jeremy.
let your other 2 members know also.
Will do, yep.
Okay, item number 7, Jeremy.
You
have
need
us
some
with plan.
signatures or not?
Yeah, so signatures to finalize that, yeah, that'd be the chairperson, I believe, on there.
Yeah. So I swear this is complete and correct list of
And that-
County of Wright.
And that, Betty, I could just get a copy like usual, and then I would keep in that file, because everything I had, I put on that thumb drive for you.
Okay,
I just copied onto that thumb drive, so
All your correspondence and all that stuff.
everything. Well, no, not the correspondence, the
Okay.
emails I did not,
sign here.
the meeting minutes, the publications, the verification publications.
All that
You
stuff.
wanna
Everyone wants to
keep
review it.
yours? Or can I have him sign yours also?
Yeah. That's fine.
Have him sign.
Because then, yeah, you can just send me a copy or whatever. I don't really need it, but I'll put it in the file. You'll have it. So I'm assuming you'll send from here.
Yes,
Is that how that works?
I think so, yeah. Once I
Sign
get it.
this one too.
And that was due by December 1st,
Yep.
is that right?
So they should let us know, when do they let us know? Is it technically, it's not official until they approve it, correct?
Correct.
That question is
I'd say that it's official now, if you've done this, I mean, if,
Yeah.
Until they say no.
if
already.
somebody's gonna run, they would come in and start getting
Well,
signatures
and they've been
based on
inquiring
this
about it.
man.
They'll send a letter.
Yeah,
saying
there'll be
it's
an
confirmed
official.
Or that they have to modify it, or it needs to go back to the drawing board.
So
They'll confirm with you guys.
you may want.
So once it's confirmed with them, is that when
I'm
we
gonna
decide,
email it and hard mail it.
okay, when do we decide 2 or 4 year terms on that? Is that done after the Secretary of State does it?
After it's been absolutely
Completely
confirmed,
confirmed, and
then I will probably put that on the agenda to do a drawing
Okay,
to see which ones, because then we'll need to know, okay, you have incumbents. And then their terms up and there's not incumbents, but how does that?
right.
So
This is.
I have some more studying to do again. It's been such a long time.
Item number 8, receive the, oh, excuse me, item number 7, Jeremy Abbas with planning and zoning to give update on the setbacks on Hector Flicking Pipeline.
So based off the information, given on the PHMSA letter to the pipelines, stating that local jurisdictions now have the ability to set the ruling setbacks and all that stuff. I checked with my planning and zoning commission chairman and asked him if he would like me to gain more information on it, whether we should be doing something or not. With that, I did make a phone call to our the attorney that's covering for Wright County,
Tim Whipple
Tim Whipple.
with
And-
Allers and Cooney.
Yep, Allers and Cooney, and based on the discussion with him, he stated if we were to do a setback, any setbacks of hazardous pipelines at any point or right now, we would be sued tomorrow. So asking for his opinion, he said at this point, that is a letter, that's not a ruling. He goes, if it was a ruling, it's a different story, but right now it's just a letter. So he said, at this point, do nothing.
Okay,
Wait for more information to come out, wait for these other, I believe there's lawsuits happening now to see how that turns out before we make any moves going as far as setting setbacks.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm giving you that information. But that's what we're given at this point is to just stay idle,
on hold.
on hold right now.
And
Not that we will forever, it's right now until more things become clear.
you've taken that back to your chairman of your planning and zoning.
I will, after today's meeting, I will tell him,
Okay,
that I spoke with, well, I already told him I spoke with him, but I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on.
yeah. And again, I think that, even if we added specific setbacks to our planning and zoning, ordinance, if they haven't come to us to comply with our current planning and zoning districts, and the IUB doesn't uphold that that local jurisdiction should take precedence here, then we accomplish nothing anyway.
Right.
I mean, that's the fight. That's why we joined with Allers and Cooney in the litigation as one of the 7 counties against this.
Yeah.
I have a question. So is that, are you talking like the comprehensive plan? And on our comprehensive plan, we have where we want commercial and industrial properties to build, and then we have our agricultural properties.
Correct.
And
This
if,
is bulk
if,
regulation specifically.
okay, so if they wanted to build, let's say, did they have to, like, nutrients without in the country, did they have to get a variance, or did they have to ask to build because it did not match the comprehensive plan? Because they were a industry or a corporation,
Non-agricultural.
non-agricultural?
I want to say that they were considered agricultural because they were producing, as my memory serves me,
Considered agriculture.
that they were considered agriculture, so it was a permitted use in the country.
And quite frankly, like the pipelines themselves, unless they're structures, above ground structures. I don't know what the bulk regulations are gonna do for us anyway. What are we setting back?
Well, such as Shelby County, it was setback distances from cities, schools, hospitals, areas that cities may have had,
Incorporated.
areas that they wanted to expand.
Right. So I'm assuming unincorporated, it would be more specifically talking, residences and stuff like that is the concern.
Yeah, residents and CAPOs.
Yeah.
Does that
Is
one-
what has been expressed.
Cause that one
What's
county
that?
had 2 miles out of, they were gonna add to their property for
Right.
cities.
Yeah, urban build on.
Yes. Even though they hadn't done anything yet, it was added on, it's like.
We will be more than happy to address it once. And if at some point he says that we should be doing it, then we'll jump over and do it, but at this point, based off his recommendation, we're gonna do
We're
nothing.
just gonna kind of wait and see what the other cases come out at then.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Julie, did you have? I'm sure that you have.
I sure have a lot to say. I'm very disappointed, I guess, especially after listening to Paul Blackburn last week on the webinar. I know Dean was on the call and had some questions. He doesn't want anyone living in the fatality zone, and neither do I. He said that if you've done your homework and if you've worked with other counties to write your ordinances, especially if you've got similar ordinances as Shelby County, that we should call their bluff. See what the suit says. If they do sue, you can go back and amend it to make it more defensible. But he said it shouldn't be a disaster for counties to be able to protect their citizens. And it said it was better to pass these before the IUB passes down their permit. And if we wait to see what happens in Shelby County, that's going to be after that happens. Their schedule is, the bench trial is to begin on Shelby County on January 16th. And I fully expect the IUB to pass down their ruling, whatever, before the end of the year. Summit wants that, they're pushing this through. So Dean, what were your thoughts on the webinar? Is that your takeaway?
Well, I specifically asked that question, you know, are we? And I think I used the term, are we spinning our wheels?
Yeah.
If we do this, when the IUB, unless the IUB says you have to follow local rules and ordinances that are established, unless they do that, unless they recognize that, again, we are spinning our wheels. But I think your point, Julie, is you'd rather see us spin our wheels and have something in place so that we have something to go back on. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't want us to just sit back and do nothing. I know it might fail, but at least we've tried and we've called their bluff, not let them bully us around. I just see that as a bully tactic. I don't think Paul Blackburn knew what the timeline is here in Iowa. because I'm just afraid this ruling is gonna come down just as soon as possible from the IUB, and it's gonna be before the Shelby County cases. I mean, that's gonna take time, a lot of time for that trial to take place. It'll be months, and that will be too late
And so.
for us to sit back and wait and see what happens.
So where do you start on setbacks? I mean, when you start zoning agricultural property, again, when I was on the planning and zoning board, we resisted anything that was going to say what you could or couldn't do on agricultural property. I mean, and I understand your concerns with the kill zone, but what is the kill zone? Well, that varies every day. I mean, when the wind's out of the northwest, it changes from when the wind is out of the southeast. So
Well, it's hard to say what the kill zone is when Summit won't release their safety data, and we have to come up with our own. People within 600 feet are in the kill zone, and there's a lot of people within 600 feet, but from this, it's a deadly pipeline, and people are gonna die.
Was in Navigator was talking
and,
about.
I,
and again,
you know,
again, so then where do you start? I mean, if it was 1,000 feet, would you feel better?
I think it needs to be a mile.
Navigator is like 16.
I don't know what Shelby County's ordinances state. But as far as my takeaway from what Paul Blackburn said, that if counties kind of work together, have similar ordinances, can we model ours after Shelby County's? I'm not sure what their setback is in that ordinance. I guess I should know.
Well,
Something within reasonable. But we need some protections.
We have our attorney to look at the details on that, and he's making a recommendation. I don't see why we'd go against that at this point. I mean, he's in the know. I mean.
Right, it's just one person. I guess we need a second opinion, maybe. I don't know, there's other opinions. I mean, that's your decision, but that's my input.
okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
After listening to Kaylee Lang and at Brown County, is that Nebraska?
No,
South Dakota, North and Albert. I'm wondering if maybe they haven't changed their tone a little bit, unless it's, unless it was just lip talk, what she was talking about, that they wanted to work with the counties, and so they may not be quite as quick to sue because of their new look as to what they're trying to portray.
Right.
Or it could be a wolf in cheap clothing.
I have something to say, if I may. It's Lisa Stuck.
Go ahead, Lisa.
I just feel that it's the Board of Supervisors' duty to keep the residents of Wright County safe. And everything that I have learned about this pipeline, nothing is safe. There is no comparing it to a windmill. This pipeline will go about a half a mile from Dow's. And when it breaks, that will affect a lot of your citizens in this county. And as far as allowing Summit to bully you and intimidate you and threaten to sue, I just think that that's a poor way to go about it. The only way to deal with a bully is to fight back. And that's what the residents of Wright County want.
Well, I think we also hire counsel to advise us on what the best aspect is, and we have counsel doing that. He's aware of what's going on. He represents several counties, and at this point, his judgment is we sit back and see how things go and it is not, would not be prudent to go ahead with it. So I mean, I
Well,
look at the aspect of our council that we hire that is in the weeds with this. And why would we go against that?
Well, I'm with Julie. I think you need a second opinion because the attorney that represents them in this case said that we need to go to the county level and get protection from our county level. The county board of supervisors can make a difference. And if you put enough roadblocks in their way, I'm hoping they'll just go away because there are other ways to capture carbon than this, than to go in and ruin our farmland and put this unsafe poison in our ground. So I think you maybe need to get another opinion from another attorney. Thank you for listening.
Welcome.
This is Julie again. Our lawyer, Brian Jordy, stated that a lawsuit or ordinances in this case is not an unreasonable thing to do. I mean, if you would be afraid of being sued if you're doing something just totally unreasonable, but this is not. He said, if you have insurance, and we do, you should not be afraid of being sued, I guess, and that's another opinion.
And if the public believes that we are afraid of being sued, they definitely have the wrong opinion. There's a reason that we joined in the fight and hired on with Allers and Cooney specifically concerning this. And if you listen to the testimony of the experts that were presented concerning planning and zoning and setbacks and local ordinances, I think that you would be familiar that that they're fighting this from the same direction that we are. And I come at this not just from a supervisor, but also from having been on planning and zoning and the reluctance to start regulating ag or ag ground. But I accept your input, and I appreciate your opinion. Anything else, Jeremy?
I've got nothing.
Thanks. Board?
No.
Nothing.
I agree with the ladies.
All right, item number 8, receive the monthly revenue report from the Wright County Sheriff. Month of September, county car service fees and mileage, $1,970.20. County new and renewed weapons permits, $560. Copy fees of $40 for a total of $2,570.20.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second to accept the Wright County Sheriff's monthly report for September. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Item number 9, receive the quarterly revenue report for the Wright County Recorder. Did you have anything? No.
So, revenue's up. For what it has been the last 2 quarters, market still appears to be strong, so. Keep plugging along.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So for the county recorders, I have a motion and a second to approve the county recorders. Quarterly revenue report. With total fees collected of $97,394.43. a good portion of which goes to the state. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Item number 10, receive the quarterly revenue report from the Wright County Auditor. Quarter ending September 30th again. Copies of $11.50, plat books and maps of $90. Voter registration list of $10.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the auditor's quarterly report ending September 30th, 2023. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Item number 11, agribusiness park lease approval. We all had received copies of the lease as prepared by the county attorney. There was two additions that were made in the wording concerning how we set the lease on the agribusiness park land and utilizing the Iowa State University Ag Decision Maker cash rental rate. For 2024, it'll be the published rental rate of 2023 for alfalfa hay established for the North Central District. And then also a provision in item number 12 under the lease, where if we were to sell or lease a portion of the agribusiness park, how we would prorate the payment for that year on the number of acres that it reduces the lease on, and how the tenant would be compensated for that. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agribusiness park lease as written. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
You want to sign two of them and then I'll take them to,
I sure can.
Yeah, William. Yeah.
take these next.
Okay, item number 12 was tabled until next week. Okay. Item number 13, Adam Clemens, Wright County Engineer.
Okay, we have multiple items today. First one is the consider accepting bid for Bridge 200 and approve the historic bridge agreement. A few weeks back came to you, there was interested parties that for Bridge 200, which is up in Boone Township, that were interested in purchasing the bridge and getting it to a location. We worked on putting that agreement out to everybody that was interested. I received one bid back, which is in front of you, from Lakota Outfitters Sporting Club. And would recommend approval.
So they gotta tear it apart, place it over a waterway.
That they have to follow everything that's in the historic bridge agreement, which is that. Yes, they have 1 year to do so though.
Is that completed or 1 year to move it?
1 year to move it, probably have it back up.
And have it back.
Yeah, we'll work with them to get it back up. The contractor that brings it in, they're gonna have to do some prep work at the site, most likely make some abutments and maybe a couple piers and then be able to put it back up.
Where is this gonna be located at?
It's in Franklin County, just outside of Dallas, is my understanding.
Stays close then.
Yes.
As a second, this is the cover wrap.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
So approve the bid and the historic bridge agreement.
Yes.
I have a motion to approve the historic bridge bid and the agreement.
Second.
All those in favor,
Second.
oh, and a second, all those in favor say aye.
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 So the bid was for $10. And.
What do you think it would cost them to move it? And redo it?
I'm guessing anywhere from 15 to 30, depending on the contractor. I need one signature from you, and then I'll also need one signature from you. And I'll send them a copy of that agreement, and I will work with him to have a schedule in place.
Okay. Is that the only one we have
That is the only one we have. No, excuse me. Yes.
right now?
No, yes, that's,
Have we ever sold one before?
no. Well, I don't know what the agreement was for the one that's out at
The museum.
Museum, I don't know. And then there's also one out at conservation.
That's right.
Okay, next item is the resolution for, resolution 2023-39, removal of bridge embargoes. We have worked diligently in the last month and a half, two. One on Bridge 53, which is over by Galt, which is a contract with a contractor. And then the other 5 bridges, 137, 138, 139, 141A, and 141B, were all completed by our forces, and I presented those to you as we completed them. And said when I had them all done, we would come back with this, that removes the load posting off of those and creates a legal structure to drive over.
Wonderful.
So there was 6 completed in this fiscal year, most in Lake Township, or all in Lake Township, and then 1 in Blaine.
Excellent.
Very good job.
So we're working on, obviously clearing some of the red marks on our map, the posted bridges. Some rivers or creeks don't let us do that because they're too large and too large structures. Eagle Creek and West Eagle Creek, correct? Or Little Eagle Creek are conducive of that. So we have that ability to kind of work up those and with any on that streams.
Is there a requirement for us to report this to the state, or that's
We-
done as you guys? do
Yes,
the
as
work?
we do our bridge review, as this gets done, Jeremy will file it like form number 20. To the state, which removes the bridge
Okay.
from our system.
And they're culverts now, so they won't need to be inspected.
Correct.
Correct.
Good.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-39.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-39, removal of bridge embargo on specific bridges. By roll call, hold, Carl,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Dean, aye. Motion carried.
That was 12% of our embargo bridges.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Very nice.
Nice.
So with Adam's game plan here in the last 3 years, we've taken out 22% of our embargo bridges.
Good.
Good.
That one.
Thank you.
Next item, quick update, normal blading, to keep up with harvest, mowing, granular routes. Zone 3 is at 50%, so up from, the last week. Hauled ice control sand is coming, it's getting cold, so we had to do it. It's bittersweet, but it will start falling from the sky. And I won't say it. Shouldering, still working on that, and brush cutting, obviously that's going to take quite some time. 4 work orders were completed last week. The bridge crew was kind of wrapping their heads around what's next. So they weren't doing too many work orders last week. They were kind of getting caught up from the culverts. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Any old business?
Mr. Chair, all the three agencies, Belmont, Clarion, and East Grove, has returned their modification to the promissory note and have that be placed on the agenda for the board next week.
Good. Okay, under new business, debt payment and TIF.
So I just wanted you guys to get a copy of the debt payments that we have utilizing TIF, which is tax increment financing. For the agribusiness park is the first one I would like you to look at. So, in the past years, on the left column, estimated county TIF revenues for that area. And it's kind of a highlighted yellowish tan
Yeah.
color.
Yep, all the way on the left-hand side.
Yep, and that shows that, you know, we've been getting like 2.6 million, 2.7 million, 2.4, 2.5. Is what we've been getting in for revenues
Yeah.
on there to pay down debt.
Yeah.
Our fund balance at the end, estimated fund balance at the end of the current fiscal year, which would be June 30, 2024. On the far right-hand side is gonna be 1.5, it's the really dark colored shaded rust. $1.5 million, which is pretty excessive.
Agreed.
So for budgeting purposes for the 24-25 fiscal year, you would have an option to reduce your TIF, your tax dollars coming in for that area. And instead of like dropping it and then raising it again, just drop it a number so that it'll get us to the end of 2030 when everything is paid off. So it would be a recommendation to be somewhere around 1.2 million for 2 years, and then drop it a little bit more to 1 million until
So
2030.
we
And
put
it returns the tax dollars.
$1 million.
Schools and,
Correct.
which is, that's what it's meant to do. We use it for the infrastructure, and the debt we have on it now is bonds, and we can't repay on those, so there's really no reason for it to sit in account. It can be released out.
so what I'm trying to understand is that the estimated fund balance by decreasing the TIF revenue is what we're proposing. That is gonna bring this ending fund balance down, correct?
Correct.
Because we'll utilize the funds that are in the existing fund balance to offset the reduction in the TIF amount that we're asking for.
That is
Is
correct.
that right?
Yeah, so if you look in the estimated fund balance in the far right-hand column, you
Yep.
can see it continues to reduce.
Yep,
And at the end, you want it to be zero.
okay,
And so, this way, because of House File 718 with the new rules and, the having to reduce the levy rate for the general basic fund, this will help in our general basic fund generating, because that $1 million that we're, $1.3 million that we would be reducing will go back to all the taxing entities, be it cities, schools, the townships, county.
Good.
It goes
Which is,
back.
what a good time for that to hit them.
And it wouldn't be cities, because I guess it's in the rural, so it'd be, yeah. So,
okay,
kind of food for thought as to where you want to be, and it will be, that would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would be for 6 years. You know, we'd work on reducing tax askings to get all of our debt paid off.
okay,
Then on the second page, we also have the wind farm area TIF. That was an original 20-year TIF on the wind farms, and secondary roads did a lot of road projects, resurfacing,
It's like $3
bridges,
million.
yeah. Yeah,
Sure.
$3.5 million worth. And so we refinanced that geo debt. And in 2019, we shortened up the years for the payment plan, and it saved us over almost close to $200,000 in interest by refinancing it with a lower interest rate. That area will generate approximately $378,000 each year for revenues. However, I think to pay down and to get through, we would really only need $210,000 each year, and then to pay off, to make the payments And then, the final year in 26, 27, fiscal year end 27, you would just reduce it to make it so your fund balance is down to zero.
Okay.
So
So we'd release about $1.5 million next year then. Between the
close
two.
to, yeah, close to. So there's a report that I have to have.
What about the next one? You didn't
Those
cover-
are the renutrients one. We have an internal loan, and then that's in the green on the second page.
Right,
We have an internal loan with the treasurer that we borrowed, for that street, was at 275th Street project. And, we owe approximately, I think, $345,000 yet on that. We have 3 years of a rebate, a 50% rebate to them, and it shows in the left-hand column that dollar amount. And it's to be not to exceed 90, so that's gonna have to be adjusted in the total. And, for our final payment next year, we'll have to kind of see where we're at and make sure that we've reduced that, because it's not to exceed $90,000.
Oh, the way this is 106 now. so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I should reduce.
So we will have to reduce that. Anyway, and so we will just capture all that it will generate, pay off the loan to the treasurer's office. And then, so it looks like estimated to be, 20 fiscal year end, it'll probably be done paying in fiscal year 2028.
And we can prepay that one because it's not a bond. It's internal.
Correct, yep. So, that's just kind of like whatever money's available in that fund. I make a principal and interest payment to Peggy, to the treasurer. To pay down that debt.
okay,
And then the far right-hand column is a debt service. That is let's see. The county borrowed $1.5 million to do remodeling of the courthouse. It did, sheriff's vehicles. It did,
They do the professional building,
no.
the roofing on that or not?
Is it part of the roof on that in the courthouse? I think there's a little bit of that.
Maybe. It's been a long time. Anyway, this year will be the last payment on that one, so then that one will go away. And then, also the communication towers.
Hmm.
And that one will be on there for a while, and that is, we go through debt service, so we have a debt service levy on our budget
And
for
then we-
taxpayers.
and
The
the
other ones are all through TIF, so the taxpayers, the general citizens are not paying on those debts, but on the debt service for the communication towers, they are.
And the short-term loan we did on debt service, the reason we did that and not put it on the regular general is because debt service is a protected levy.
Mhm.
And like Prestige, and everybody that has
everybody
TIF,
pays.
everybody pays, so it evens out the dollars.
Makes a lower levy.
Yep.
Yep.
Good information, Ben.
Anyway, so I'll let you ponder on, there's no decision to be made on this today. I just wanted to get it in front of you so that you can look at it. I'll have it on the agenda probably next week, still fresh on your minds. And then,
So if
because
I served on a school board, I'd want to know this information. I mean, will you notify them?
they will get it when we start working our valuations. All this certification for TIF areas has to be due to us by December 1.
Okay.
And then, we start working on the TIF areas and start figuring out, okay, the city Clarion wants this much dollars. Belmont needs this much. Eagle Grove has TIF areas, they need so much money. We figure out and calculate through valuations on how much
Right,
that'll be. And then by January 1, we have to have our valuation set. And then they get a copy of everything, of
okay,
all
so
the
they will be
valuations.
notified.
Yeah,
Okay,
they'll be able to, it's not gonna say, oh, the county, did not take 100%. They'll just get it by the increase in their valuations for the year.
This will be something though.
They should.
all right, thank you, thanks for that update. Meetings,
No meetings.
Economic development, you're here, you can do a brief synopsis of our meeting, and we met with a potential client
Yes.
later on that
Yes.
day. Interesting meeting on
Right.
technology at its best.
And this will be, not in our ag business park, but in that immediate area.
That's all I have.
All right, we will be in recess until 11 o'clock. Item number 17 is full meeting with various department heads concerning the Schneider Beacon permit software. 2 weeks ago, we received a briefing from Schneider, can't remember the fellow's name. Ryan Smith. And I asked department heads to consider that and get back with me, with the board, today. So we will be in recess until, 10:55. Okay. We are live again. We have not, the meeting is scheduled to start at 11 o'clock. With the department heads concerning Snyder Geospatial. So at 11 o'clock, we'll be back on Zoom. Okay, so, item number 17 on the agenda, 11 o'clock, hold meeting with various department heads concerning the Schneider Beacon permit software. Most of you were present, I believe it was 2 weeks ago when Ryan Smith gave us a presentation on what Beacon could do for us for having our permits on Beacon. So I'm looking for feedback from individual departments on their thoughts. Are they interested in this or they're not interested in this? I guess I'll start with you, Andy. Do you have?
I'm indifferent. I know we talked about this last year and there wasn't much interest last year, so.
I guess my concern for you is security. If we have something that's an online portal for somebody to, does it have any implications for new security concerns for you? Okay.
It's all, we just send them the data. So.
Okay. Sandy.
Well, most will email me a application or else they call. I was just out, like I said, to Fairmont, Iowa select sites and ran them preliminarily, so I don't know. You have to be nice, but yet I think I'm okay without it.
Good. So you are in favor of it or you are not in favor of it?
I probably wouldn't use it just because of the number of contractors and then them training through in the follow-up.
So if the majority said, yes, we should do this, would you resist implementing it and stick with the paper, or you would go with it, but you aren't seeking it? I think is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Jeremy.
I'm for it.
Okay.
I think it's beneficial for me. I want to get rid of the paper.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm for it.
Okay.
I think just for the symmetry of, like I told you this morning, of everybody being able to go to one website and understand how to submit a permit. If they submitted a planning and zoning permit to Jeremy, it'll automatically ask, hey, do you need an entrance permit? Is this something new? So it'll send them to the next one. So,
And if it was someplace where somebody was gonna reside, it would have a question about going to the county sanitarium. And then taxes. Oh, okay. What did I say? Sorry.
So true.
Insane is insanity.
And part of it is feel like the private wells, I have to use another system for that, and in the research, I found it will not mesh into it. So I have to go back in anyway you can find wells on the PWTS. However, the flow, that would be really nice if they knew, now you need to contact them. Would I actually put a permit? I suppose I could, but I would still have to use the paper just to.
Jason,
I don't see any use for it.
you do not.
Yeah.
Okay. If we were to implement it, does that mean you're against it, or if we, what about, weapons permits? And there's no way that that could be utilized for something like that? Okay,
Because our stuff goes to the state, so we're talk to it.
okay,
My problem goes to the DNR.
good.
DOTs go to the DNR site.
But I'm not against it, yeah, they're looking for the fire.
Good. Peggy, do you have anybody that does any kind of permitting stuff?
I have no use for it in my office, but I see where there's more work in my office.
It would be more work?
Yeah, because you're all gonna be hooked up to my bank account.
Why?
Where else is the money going?
Oh, they're paying.
If
for the
they're paying
permit fee.
online, how do you get the money to the county?
Oh,
So we
And Ryan, you and Ryan went over that, correct? I mean, that's why
yeah, we had a conversation. I was hoping he would be here, because I was not here for the first meeting.
he is in a meeting currently. If we have questions for him, I can text him.
But that would
Or-
be, about talking, it would
Yeah.
be something that we would have to set up internally. It wouldn't be for Ryan.
Yeah.
It would be our practices here on how we would account for deposits and whose they are and.
where they're coming from and where they go to.
But wouldn't they be tagged? I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking that if somebody makes a payment, it would be tagged to,
But
I
I
don't
know
know,
this,
building permit, and it would say building permit.
that doesn't mean anything to me. I need the revenue line item for that to go into.
Okay,
And so that would be a miscellaneous, so even if, like, say they got some sort of permit paid for from Jeremy, he's still gonna have to get me a miscellaneous receipt with the earned dates, the revenue line item, who it was for, that. It's just like what we do now for motor vehicle and taxes. Yes, I have deposits, but what it says is that I have a deposit from the Iowa Trucking Association for taxes.
you need to reconcile that against something else,
I have to-
other input.
Well, I have to have all the information to input it into the accounting software. All I know from what they're doing is that we have deposit comes in the bank.
Right,
That's all I'm gonna know. So that's the only thing I can see as a hang up in my office is if it's not done in a timely manner, I won't get month end done. Because I'll have deposits in the bank that are not accounted for.
Could you have another bank account that's tied strictly to the deposits? And then
That'd
as,
be fine, but I still can't do anything with it unless, it doesn't matter where.
I mean, it was even, it's still, but the money would just sit there until somebody gave you the deposit slip for it.
It's gonna sit somewhere no matter what. I still have to have that
Yeah.
reconciled by the end of the month. It doesn't matter what account it goes into.
Oh, true.
I still have to have it reconciled. So that would be the only issue with my office. Our fact, we would not use it for ourselves because everything is ran through the Treasurer's Association and the DOT.
We'll do
and
like,
so could each, is there a way to tie the thing that you need to be able to say, this was money received for this? Can Snyder not have
I,
access to, that is a, I don't even know what you're talking about, but that is a V12 R65 and then it tells your system, hey, this is a V12 R65 for John Smith.
I don't think so because like for Corolla County and stuff, I need a date earned. I don't know how
I
that's.
think
going.
Ryan
There's
might have
Ryan.
just jumped on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So Ryan.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
All right.
Have you heard our, oh, you just jumped on, okay.
I just got out of another geo permits meeting. They kept asking questions, so sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but we're gonna have some questions for you too.
I think ours are all internal questions. Mine aren't for Ryan so much. Mine are more within like an agreement we'll have to have amongst the department heads
Okay,
on getting me the miscellaneous receipt information when, because I've already worked it out with Ryan that I can get a report only when deposits are made.
Okay,
But what I'm talking about is more internally.
but that internal information couldn't some way be worked into the form that, that the information
Can we
would be
see
there?
What is the form or the, when you're gonna get that report from Ryan that a deposit has been made? Is that gonna come from Beacon, correct? Ryan?
Okay, I want to make sure I understand your question. Are we in a closed meeting or is it still public?
No, it's open to the public.
Okay. I'm trying to think how to answer that. Okay, I'm gonna do my best to answer that. So actually, no, restate the question for me. Is it you need to know how the reports are received?
I need to know I need some identifying capabilities of what permit or application
Fee that has been paid.
that has been deposited. So that way Peggy can go after a department head that says, no, I don't think I do. Well, no, you have one right here. It says entrance, Adam. You have a $250 permit fee that they deposited in October. And it's an entrance fee. You know, we know it's the engineer's office one. You need to figure out how to give me a deposit slip.
Correct.
So if I understand your question
Way for
correctly,
them to generate a report of a deposit for you, but all the department heads can see that report. I don't care where it went. I wanna know that, yes, it went to this entrance and it was $250. And then it's gonna click in my brain and say, hey, I need to get you something, or Tiffin's brain.
Right.
That's what I want out of Beacon,
Yeah, just
to
to
make
tell
it easy for you.
just to tell me what it is.
Yes, exactly.
Who I'm gonna chase down.
Yep.
so if I'm understanding you right, when that report is received by Peggy, you need to have a column that shows department or contact person, whatever it might be internally.
Yeah.
That's because what we would do is just during the permit process, we would just attach a department to it, like in the background. And then so when you're receiving that report, weekly, monthly, whatever it is, or you're going to have a report that filters out, how do I say, payment due or, over payment not paid yet, that kind of thing. You can have the detail, everything from the department head to the specific permit type as well. And that can be filtered out. You can even have an executive type summary as well that actually shows outstanding or payments due for a specific department. You can have it like as an executive view, or you can have it as a detailed view where it's like a literal line by line item that shows the specific permit number and everything for that one. And then that would allow you, like, let's say it's just Adam's group, somebody didn't pay for their entrance permit. And then you could reference, it's permit number 123. And that would allow you just to email Adam really quick and just say, hey, I have not received payment for permit number 123. Do you know why? And it could be something simple, like they turned in a check or something.
We would have held that in queue.
Right.
Because
We won't act on anything.
because the payment hadn't been made.
Correct.
Well, and that's your thing too, right? In the permitting process itself, that is one of the steps. I mean, so if payment has not been received by check, cash, whatever, it can't move on to that next step either way. So it really is, it's how you have that permit designed. So I mean, in theory, the permit can't be approved until payment is received.
They're not all, they don't
They
necessarily
don't
all,
have to pay online.
they don't have to, but it's convenient.
Right.
Makes it easier.
I really want to stress to Peggy, that the company we work with, Certified Payments, has just been phenomenal. Their customer service, and there's 99 different treasurers in Iowa, and there's been 99 different ways of creating a report. And they've been great to work with. So if there's something that you need adjusted, or you're, when that initial report comes out, and you're like, no, I really need a column that says this. They have just been absolutely great to work with. We want to make Peggy's job easier, not harder.
Right.
I actually want to see a report either bi-weekly or monthly that says, hey, what do I need to get to you?
Yep.
Before you try to track me down, I want to say, okay, these permits have been submitted this month. I need to get you a miscellaneous receipt because they have been paid and you need to reconcile your books.
See, and I would say monthly, not quick enough.
They're correct, that's why I said bi-weekly,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, at least.
yeah, or when everyone comes in.
That's what I think Ryan and I talked about, that I don't need a report unless there is activity.
Yeah.
I don't want one every day saying nothing to report, so
Yep.
the only ones I need is when you
Something
have
happened.
it, right?
Yeah, I can't help but laugh, but there was a treasurer that for some reason wanted a daily report. So I'm like, okay, fine.
No.
There's a fee too, the fee is, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, that if I was to submit a permit and I pay with my credit card,
Mhm.
there's not a fee to the county, it's a fee to the applicant, correct?
100% yes. And you can do, and I want to add to that because I was just talking about this. You can do the e-check option, which is like, that flat rate. Think like paying taxes. That's everyone can relate to that. Or it's the percentage with the credit card. So like let's say the permit's $100 and the credit card fee is, I don't know, 2%. I don't know what it is. So the company certified payments will get the 2%, the $2, and the county gets the $100. So the county, if I'm walking in and writing a check for $100, you're getting $100. If I'm paying online, it's $102 to me, and you're still getting your $100 in that example.
Do you have to, for those, just using those, you have to close those out at the end of the day to follow through?
No, you can save it and come back to the,
No, well, this is just the pay span, I don't need to, I get a notice, because a lot of the Medicaid will go through like a pay span. I get a notice, there's a pay span payment there. So then Barb follows it through. Rails Bar and Grill, at the end of the night, I had to go through the process of shooting all that information to the merchant for them then to pull it. So that automatically pulls the payment, or do you have to close out at the end of the day?
It's a third party vendor.
Mhm.
That's handling all that, just like for taxes and motor vehicle, it's a third party vendor that would need.
And that's what I had to do, they're merchants and you had to close it out.
I don't think it's gonna work like that.
No.
Ryan, did you hear the question?
Yeah, I think I understand, but it sounded like Peggy handled it, but I want to make sure I heard it. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. There's all, and Peggy knows about this, there's all these extra certifications you have to get to be a money collector. And we don't want to go through that process. We would actually just hire the best in the business that we feel. And so that's why we went out to the marketplace and just chose a company to partner with that's embedded into the software.
Right.
That way, if something does happen, it's not on us, it's technically on that company. So that's the
Needs for your office,
I don't think I have any need for it.
marriage license, don't you come to the recorder's office to get a marriage license? And we couldn't do that on
It's all
something.
done through public health, so.
Can I make a comment really quick?
Something else.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I'm hearing you, some of those are state forms.
Okay.
I thought I heard marriage license or something. Is that a state form or is that a county form? I forgot.
State form.
What we have done with some of the state forms is sometimes counties will create like a pre-form where they'll fill out information ahead of time before they come in to fill out the official state form.
It's all state. I wouldn't have any need for it.
Okay. And is that state form available online for Wright County, or you have to come in person?
It is, we have the link to public health
Okay.
on the county's website where you can go to that public health.
And fill out that form.
Print it and bring it to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have that existing. Is there any permits that you're aware of that aren't state forms that we have that could be utilized on something like this?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay. All right. Go on.
I'm already using it. I don't have an issue with any of it. My only question would be, I guess, to Ryan is, like we've talked about, could we get some kind of a plan for all of us together with E911 or, a bigger plan to where if other offices are gonna do this, that we could share as far as, I know that somebody had spoken before that there's more resources available.
Is there something specific, like you mean like homestead or just address change, or you're just talking about just departments talking together and sharing information?
It was whatever somebody had presented to me last year about if instead of each of us offices paying individually for whatever we want, if we all group together and pay all together and work together, say it comes out of one account, you charge one place and then it all gets divvied up and we each pay our own share. Do we get more out of it that way, more bang for the buck?
I mean, I guess a good way of answering that is, I like to use, go ahead.
Our assessor is currently paying for a beacon, and in her budget, there's a line item, as I recall, for Snyder Beacon. I think what she's asking is if the county goes with what is being proposed here, in the professional service agreement, is that now washed into this? And now that is one, or is she still gonna have this separate charge, separate deal, and it's completely separated from what we're talking about?
This is a completely separate silo.
Okay.
But I mean, when it comes time for, annual invoicing, that kind of thing, obviously, if you want it all invoiced into one big invoice or invoiced to a specific department, we can always do that. To give you an example, in other counties, like with Beacon, sometimes it's 50-50, where assessor pays 50% and the board pays 50%. It just depends, because the uniqueness of the way an assessor's budget works in Iowa counties. Me personally, I don't care. You just need to tell us who you want to send the bill to.
Gotcha.
Does that answer the question?
Well, no, I think her question specifically is she gonna get a break on her budget line item if we go with you on this? Does it reduce her costs in any way? I think that's what you're asking, isn't it?
I was just wondering, I pay all of this separate, which I'm fine with, and just the way it is, but if they're gonna, I'm paying 30 grand.
Right.
If you're gonna pay 14 grand, is there some bigger plan that we can all go in together and maybe have it a little less expensive, or if we're gonna pay the same to get maybe more resources?
Gotcha.
Because what we had talked about last year, hey Ryan, it's Andy over here. You're on camera.
I can hear you. Yep.
Yeah, we had talked with Micah last year about trying to do some kind of collaboration with support, I think was where Tony is trying to go with this, because we had figured out that there was like 3 separate departments or 3 separate entities paying Beacon essentially for some duplication of services. Well, what we had proposed last year, and I think we're wanting to know if this is with the permits, what is possible to effectively pool all of those support contracts into a single contract, I guess. And then as, Adam and the engineers or Tony or E911 needs support, it just simply draws out of that single pool of resources.
Okay, that makes sense. So this is a very common thing in Iowa where, we're working on a 911 project, and 911 project, they start getting flex hours with us. The assessor's office is maybe doing something related to parcel splits or GIS training. In this case here, it's geo permits. So the short answer is yes. What we could do is, like, after this gets signed, what we'd do is that we'd actually look at all of those, and we could do like more of a call to change order, for lack of a better term, coming up, where we can pull those hours together. I do know, though, specifically in Wright County, the 911 has a contract, and I believe there's a desire to keep that separate, because it's in a different building and everything else, and it's on a separate project. The funding is different.
That's a state grant.
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. And that state grant couldn't be applied towards a portion of this?
That I don't.
That grant's pretty, sorry to speak over there, but I think that grant is very specific on how those hours are supposed to be used. But what Tony's saying though is correct. Like if we, because we already have a support contract in place, I believe with Tony's office, as she's saying, with some training hours, flex hours, yes.
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 So yes, those hours could be used for this geo permits contract as well. So we've dealt with other counties where they'll actually use those flex hours they're currently using for one project and just transfer them over to the geo permits agreement. And that just has to be done through, like through an email exchange where we just state extra hours in Tony's office will be used for the geo permits contract as an example. But the contract though I have in front of you though, I did actually that's actually it doesn't show in the agreement, but the original agreement was supposed to have 96 flex hours and I actually changed it to 48. Let me double check my numbers here. Yes. So if you go to the bottom of page 2, section B, the original agreement that I proposed to Adam was for 96 hours. And then after actually talking internally a little bit with Micah Cutler, she had actually anticipated this conversation, which was that you already have some flex hours that are being used by other departments. So if once those 48 hours are used up, if you needed to use some for others, we can do that as well. So it's not showing the discount, but I actually already chopped the flex hours in half.
But we want more flex hours, right? Or this reduce the price by you cutting that in half? It sounds to me like if the price didn't change and you reduce the flex hours, we're getting screwed, is what it sounds like to me.
No, maybe that came off wrong. What I'm trying to say is the original agreement that I proposed to Adam, the annual cost was closer to $20,000 a year.
Okay.
After speaking with Adam and also speaking with Tony last week a little bit, I decided to put into the contract 48 hours versus the standard 96.
And
So
that's 14,000, wasn't it?
What's that?
It was 14,000 then, right?
Yeah. So now it's 14,940.
Yeah.
Good.
And that's the first year, and then after that?
The first year is only 24 flex hours, it looks like to me.
It is correct because it's just the way I try to sync it up with budget years. So technically, I mean, you could use 24 plus 48 hours from January 1st to December 31st.
Yeah.
I want to make sure. I wish I was there in person. I apologize, but is that clear? Is that making sense? So I have to go back and talk to Micah, Tony, and see how many extra hours there are, or how many hours your office is currently using for flex. So there, bigger picture, there isn't a way that we can combine these hours. But I purposely wanted to keep it separate, at least for the first few months, just to make sure that these hours are being allocated to the geo permits project. And after the first few months, we'll have a better idea of how many hours we'll need. And you can always adjust the hours. I want to make sure everyone heard me on that.
I think everybody heard you.
Okay. I have to put in standard language, right? Like I have to put in like nice, clean, standard numbers. And from experience, it's usually 96 or 48 hours. But after having a conversation with Adam seems ready to go and do this. And also with the support of Andy, I think we're going to be good. That I felt comfortable reducing it to 48 hours. I'd rather I sell you less hours and you hit the ceiling and we need to add more than to sell you hours that you're not going to fully use.
Great, that makes sense. Okay, Courtney, for drainage.
Well, I just want to touch on both things, the geo permitting specifically, and then kind of what Tony was talking about here with different departments using this and for paying for this support. Drainage wise, we don't pay for any contract or anything for the Schneider. So if there is a larger issue or concern or project that I need assistance on, they will not allow me to call and speak to them because I don't hold the contracts for drainage. It has to be somebody from the assessor's office that contacts them, so I have to use them as the middleman for
Okay.
any projects. If it's something smaller, just a quick little, hey, I'm getting this error message on this, GPS coordinates issue. I do have a contact that I can reach out to and they will assist me for little minor things like that. And it does not pull off of her hours. But if there is any larger projects, like, when Carissa was still here, we were setting up the tile work order layer to be able to track all those. I was not able to speak with them and try and set up that whole process. Carissa had to do it and be the middleman on the whole process because I told that they would speak with me.
And is that, Ryan, this question's for you. Is that only because Courtney isn't listed under the assessor's office? And if she was listed under the assessor's office, she would have been able to have contact with those people? Is that what that's a function of?
If you're a county, are you talking about the flex hours, Courtney, the support?
Yeah.
From Schneider's point of view, it's any county employee can use those hours.
Okay.
From a county point of view, though, you might have different opinions. I can't speak for Wright County, but sometimes different departments pay for different things and those hours get allocated for very specific things from the county point of view.
Correct, and because the assessor's office is their own fund and their own taxing entity. And then we are different, and so
And drainage is yet,
another
I would
animal.
consider another separate entity.
Correct, so we try to keep things separate because of that.
Okay.
But I will say from Schneider's point of view, we don't treat the assessor's office and the rest of the county as separate clients. We view you as one big client, but it's ultimately up to you how, those funds get used.
Gotcha. Okay.
On the geo permitting specifically, I think it would be beneficial for drainage. I kind of brainstormed since Ryan was here talking about different ways, different resources that we could use it for. Half of them are items that we don't currently require a fee for, so contractors submitting certificates of insurance. We're trying to start the electronic mail requests for those snowbirds, for any drainage notices and that with the new law change. And work orders would be the biggest one that I think would be very beneficial. Since I've been here, we have a decent amount of individuals trying to call while they're out in the field and they come across a blowout or anything like that, and they want to report it then, and we have to tell them, sorry, you have to come into the office, because you have to be able to put your finger on the map. We need to know exactly where we're sending a contractor. And having that convenience of them being able to pull it up on the screen, especially with an aerial behind it.
Right.
And being able to kind of zoom in and see that location and put that mark on the map specifically. I think that's going to be beneficial, but I also feel like it's going to eliminate any potential errors of landowners or tenants coming in and saying on our desktop map upstairs, as you know, is not aerial. It just has lines and they say, oh, no, I think it's right here. And then we send it out. I just had one from a contractor that we sent out a work order to, and he fixed a repair on a completely different line, and it was a private tile line that he repaired and not the county line that we actually sent it out to him on. So
Good.
I feel like for that purpose, it would be very beneficial. But again, those three things we don't charge anything for, so we wouldn't be able to, increase the fee or anything like that to try and recoup some of this. We do, however, have the new drainage district crossing access and the resolution for the pipelines that we put in. With them not being a local company and with the size of that resolution and signing it, sending it with each of the applications, that might be something that's beneficial. That we can include that and they can send that electronically. I do like the idea of being able to pay online or have the option of sending the check in the mail, however they would like to do that. But that would be one item that we could put on there that would be a feed item compared to the others. Not quite sure on like the parcel designation, if that would even be beneficial to any abstractors or surveyors when they call. To be able to request a parcel letter. If they did do it through this way, it would still be an email, but then they would have to wait for a response, unlike if they were to call in, I would assist them right there on the phone and get it to them right away. I do have a few that email me and say, this is what I have, here's a copy of the survey, can you look it over, everything looks good, can you get me a parcel letter? I do have a couple that do that, but more so, I have more that call and ask for the parcel letter. But in all actuality, for drainage side of it, I think it would be very beneficial, especially for the work orders side of thing, to be able to have that aerial on there and possibly eliminate any confusion on what line they're picking and the convenience of when they're out in the field, they can mark it right away instead of trying to find the time to come into the office. Yeah.
And because when you pull up Beacon on your cell phone, does it show like a blue dot of where you're standing? It doesn't, right?
There's a location feature on
There
there
is.
currently that you can hit and it'll kind of zoom you to where you're at.
Okay.
Yep, I'm just agreeing. Yep.
Okay. Okay, any other input, concerns?
Whether you guys want, for the supervisors, do you want firework permits or liquor licenses, or something like that?
Seems like that'd be a good way to do it.
Liquor license is a state form, so I guess we won't be able to, they have to do it through the state and the state sends it, so but the liquor or the fireworks permits could,
Is there a fee, is there a fee for
a
that?
$10 fee.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Trying to think of what other,
Book sales, we have a few that occasionally call in, but not too often.
I think it'd be a good tool.
So, so what happens if we do this and in 2 years, we go, and this wasn't for us, we don't need this, what happens then?
I hold your data hostage and never give it back. No, sometimes actually that's why I purposely put it. Sometimes I'll do 3 or 4 year agreements. I purposely only made this technically a 1.5 year agreement that allows you, the client, more flexibility about that. But it's your data, and if you decide to go in another direction after 18 months, then we will make sure and deliver all that data to you.
I could feel that this day and age though, we're all moving more towards electronic.
Yeah. Definitely, I would agree.
If you cancel, then we'll double the price of the Beacon agreement for Tony.
That's my fear.
Don't put that in the minutes, please.
Tony, you said you are using this already?
Well, I have a bunch of different things. So I have a bunch of assessment layers on Beacon. So.
Oh, but you're not using the permitting.
No.
Okay, that's what I thought, that's what I heard you say, and I was like. well, I
Well,
thought
would you
that's
be
what
able
said.
to? I mean, those are local forms, those aren't state forms, right? Homestead credit
I
or
don't know how that.
veterans credit?
No, not homesteads.
Okay.
I do not want those electronic right now.
Okay.
Some counties are doing it, but I'm just not there yet, you know? We already have issues with people filling out address forms on a wrong parcel. So if that was out electronically, I'm not sure, I'm just not ready at that point in time to deal with those possible issues that could arise. Could they use this for address change? They could, but not right now. But we have like so all of our stuff is linked to Vanguard. So if the cities, they usually fax me or email me the permit that got approved, or Jeremy does. And then we go and put it into Vanguard, a permit that we have to go out. And I have a bunch of layers through Beacon that I pay for that just the assessor's office have access to. So I can see like all the sales and it'll pop up in different colors. I can do conditions, I can do years, I can do the permit. So it'll actually pop up different colors where I have permits at. So that's what we use right now.
Okay.
So similar, but.
What I will say is that some counties do use our program for some of those items you were just discussing. But you know, whenever Tony's ready, that's when we'll help her out doing that.
Yeah. So then the next, thing that comes to my mind is, okay, so, how do we split this cost between departments? Or do we split it between departments, or does this come under the supervisor's budget? And I guess that question is directed at you, Betty. Because otherwise I don't know how you piece and parcel this out. I mean, where a department, when they're doing their budgeting, has to submit a portion of their budget to account for this, or is it split evenly among all the departments? Or is it just under the supervisors, and hopefully the departments will utilize the service?
You know, until you start seeing like who's using it and what it's being mostly used for, because you do have different funds, you know, secondary roads is different than the general basic and that. And if the permitting process is all drainage, which is another fund that can be assessed back to, and you're getting fees. And maybe there's a report in December we can get to see, all right, what permits all came through the permitting, geo permitting, and you prorate it out.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take a year to
kind of
to
figure out
see who's using it the most, and then at that
how
time,
is it being used.
then it can be put into their budget. That's my opinion. You're not gonna know it till we get it and use it. Right?
Right.
Which I presume you'll be using the majority of.
Not necessarily. I mean, but yeah, I do have a lot of permits.
Yes.
That I don't like paper. So.
I would presume that as the permits get put into the system and created, they're gonna automatically go live right away. They're not gonna hold them all until they
No,
get everything
correct.
built.
Yeah.
So if Adam's going first, his report would obviously show he would have more than what I would because mine aren't built yet.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna put an emphasis on us building, it's like have help with one built. But we're gonna build them internally ourselves, so we're not using those flex hours.
Okay.
That was I told that to Ryan right away, I don't need your flex hours, we have the ability inside our office to be able to create these.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I made the agreement 18 months versus like a standard 2.5 years, because Adam seemed very confident, but I told him there's no way around getting around that initial. There's a lot of setup that needs to be done initially. So then that allows the county to decide what you want to do moving forward with the flex hours.
What are the forms that you use? Is it a PDF, fillable PDF? Is it the forms that is online that is being used?
It's not even a PDF, it's essentially you're just going down through a questionnaire online. It's just a line, hey, your name, put your name in, it's not even a form necessarily.
Well, it's gotta be a form of some sort in the background for.
Yeah, that's just.
I think Ryan can answer that.
Yeah, so you're kind of both right. So it asks you questions, you know, as you're going along. And then also, but when you are done though, it creates an export of a nice clean PDF that you would normally receive. Yeah. So the result is a PDF, but as you're initially going through, there's different stages, there's yes, no questions, there's, you know, what's your name, what's your phone number, that sort of thing. So you're kind of going through that form, going through that journey. But then at the end, ultimately, there is that PDF that is, you know, much more official.
Well, and that's why, you know, Courtney's very good at forms, and that's why I was just asking you know, she's got this computer form thing pretty well figured. I didn't know if it was a certain software, is it a different process, is it what is it?
The nice feature of it is with how they would set it up, I think they mentioned at the last meeting is it'll ask you certain questions and you can set it to ask you, you know, is it I don't know, what was the example you gave? So it would tell you if you needed to have another permit filled out.
Yeah, if a building permit came in, you need an entrance permit.
Right.
You need a septic.
So it would-
permit.
Now you gotta go to, now it will continue
And it'll link.
through
you
that,
to
it'll link those. Just say, hey, fill out your entrance permit.
Yeah.
And then does an entrance permit say, do you need a 911 address? And
Yeah,
then
we
it
can do
goes,
that too.
then it goes,
Or you need a septic.
Or you need septic, or you need,
Or does it notify you that you are in drainage district 37?
yeah.
All the
that's a
above.
layer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And I probably, like I say, I probably use it just to match it all together, it's just that. Like my water well permit, I can go through these are you guys are from. That'd be nice to have one there. But I have to know who's applying.
any other questions for Ryan concerning this before I ask for a vote on item 18 is consider geo permit agreement with Snyder Geospatial.
And that was 14,900, right?
No, the first year it's 10,000. It's essentially 18-month agreement. And it doesn't start until January 1st of 2024, is that right?
Okay,
Sign today, and we can get you in the queue, but we will not invoice you until January 1st.
Okay. So on January 1st of 2024, we would get a bill for $10,999. And that's for service through June 30th of that year.
Correct.
So the end of this current fiscal year, essentially.
And that was intentional, just to kind of, I like to get it in sync with the fiscal years.
Got it. And then the following fiscal year, July 1st of 2024 through June 30th of 2025, the charge
That'll
will be
be
14,900.
yeah. Any more questions? I'll make a motion to approve this contract with Snyder Geoparcel,
Geospatial,
whatever.
Close enough.
geospatial, I think, geospatial. Sorry.
Spatial, sorry.
I will second that. I have a motion and a second to enter into the contract for professional services agreement with Snyder Geospatial. First year contract being from January 1st, 2024 through June 30th of 2024, $10,998. Year two, which would be fiscal year 24, for $14,940. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. You got a new customer, Ryan?
I'm excited. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
Where's Carla?
He had to
Yeah,
go take his wife to the airport because of his stepmother having surgery.
Is there any other business to come before the board?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I will second. I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Oh, you have.
Thank you, everyone.